Boneheads out there? Two favorite uncles from the Chicagoland area are back at it tonight. I am Logan Myers. That's my good mate over there.
And I'm Sir Henry Hill. What is going on, everybody? And we are back with the sequel to 28 Years Later. This one starring Ray Fiennes, also Jack O'Connell. They are back, and we are continuing the story that was laid out for us from Danny Boyle's first movie. This showing the continuing adventures of Spike and Dr. Kelson. And this one was directed by Nia DaCosta, and it's called 28
28
Years
years
Later,
later, the
The
Bone
Bone
Temple.
Temple.
Are you ready?
That's right. These two infected uncles are back at it tonight with the second film in the new 28 Years Later trilogy. This time around, as you were saying, Nia DaCosta's at the helm here, directing this film. She's directed a few movies now, Candyman, The Marvels, I believe it was, and then, of course, this movie, which, right from the get-go of the film, it's a whole different tone and atmosphere and vibe to this movie compared to the first one, but it really picks up with the young kid from the first movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson's son, Spike. What happens, his character then, the first movie, coming across the Jimmies, led by Jack O'Connell here, and incredible, kind of picks up with their characters and how vicious they are. It reminded me much of Clockwork Orange.
Me too. Yes, I picked up on that too. That's definitely an influence there. Minus the flipping that we saw at the end of the last movie. They didn't do any flips in this one. I noticed that. Nia
Yeah.
DaCosta scratched that out. Yeah, this is a crazy group of, cultists, we'll say. They're serial killers, is what they really are, as you find out throughout this film. They're brutal. They have, kidnapped Spike. And in the beginning, they're at some, I guess, abandoned place with a swimming pool, basically, and they're in there and they force Spike to sort of go one on one with one of the other Jimmies, the fingers, as Jimmy called them, his fingers. So that's what the other Jimmies are called, or Jimmies. Jimmies are fingers, we say. But all for the delight of Sir Jimmy Crystal. They're going to have a knife fight. And that's what happens. Spike gets the best of one of them, kills him, and takes a blonde wig for a trophy and becomes one of the fingers.
Becomes one of the fingers against his own will. A young kid, scared, not really sure what these, group of people, cultists, whatever you want to call them, are going to do to him. So he has to do whatever it takes to survive. And becoming a member of this group, having his own little beautiful blonde wig, which they kind of dive into, which is funny. I'm like, those have to be wigs they're wearing. They don't look real. And of course, yes, they are.
Yeah.
But going on this journey and then coming across Ray Fiennes' character, the Doc here, as you remember from the last film, a little part in the movie, but just like I know it's gonna be really interesting with him. But his character kind of hiding out, right? His bone temple, all these bones that he gets from the infected, puts them all together. Really smart individual, surviving, living underground, enjoying 80s music, Duran Duran, which is one of my favorite parts of the movie was the music, but just like hanging out and surviving, and he kind of forms this relationship with one of the infected.
If you remember the Alpha from 28 Years Later, Samson, that's right, the guy
How
with the
can I
third
forget that?
leg. Yes.
Third leg.
Big Samson here, and you wonder what's going to happen. And, we don't want to spoil anything moving forward, so this is where I'm going to stop with all the details. But let's just say Samson has an arc in the movie, which I did not expect at all, and is one of the very interesting and unforgettable aspects of the Bone Temple. It's really, does something different than that first film does, takes a totally different approach to things, and involves some real life instances that happened and taken from history with this gang of serial killers based on a real life cultist, cult leader and his followers from England. I was reading about, so it takes on that, but yes, some interesting stuff with Dr. Kelson here, seemingly finding a way to, manipulate the infected here. And that's going to move forward, hopefully, into the next movie, too. But some really interesting stuff here, some great scenes with Dr. Kelson, like you mentioned, and all the stuff in his little underground bunker there, his pictures of his family there that he remembers. He throws on a record. And the music is unforgettable in this. Some really awesome needle drops, like you mentioned, Duran Duran, and a really awesome scene towards the end, along with Samson, involving some death metal, we'll say, and a really amazing scene in the film. But yeah, this is definitely Ray Fiennes does a lot more in this movie than he did in the first movie. A lot more to do here, a lot more involving his character, and eventually it comes to a head when these groups meet, when the Jimmies, come up and get involved, and some really awesome scenes. And this movie totally different than the first film. Just incredibly different. And, they definitely took some swings on this. I really enjoyed the script. And, this one kept me guessing throughout, like what's going to happen? What's going to come to a head here? And how are things going to shape out? And I was really pleased with how this unfolded. And this was definitely, a worthy installment in this franchise, and definitely did something new and took a big swing. And in my opinion, hit it out of the park here.
They took a big swing. They're swinging for the fences here, and they definitely hit a home run. I felt the same. Seeing this in the big screen, great cinematic experience, cinematography, score, music, everything. Totally different movie compared to the last, and that's why it's so good. I thought it was a really great sequel. I guess you would call it the new trilogy. Nia DaCosta. I was curious how that was going to work because she's done some different movies, but I guess, being attached to Candyman, she had some horror up her sleeve, and she did a really great job directing this. The script written by Alex Garland, of course, the great writer, great director, penning the script here. I thought the script was incredible. Ray Fiennes and Jack O'Connell were incredible in this movie, both powerhouse
Yeah.
performances. Jack O'Connell is such a good villain. And Sinners to this, yeah, playing the main Jimmy here. He was a really terrible person, terrible human being, totally fucked in the head, leading this group, this cult, and did some really great performances here without giving too much away. Ray Fiennes playing the doc, having to do with this relationship and what he encounters and discovers leading to the next film. It's really incredible. Of course, the scene you're talking about with the music, another big part of this movie that was like another character was the music, but the scene in particular, so beautifully shot. They did the overhead shot with the fire and everything, just looked incredible on the big
Yeah.
screen. And for that scene alone, you have to see this in the big screen. Go to the cinema, support this movie. Really worth your time. Fun popcorn flick. Really surprised by a movie like this in January, but hell, I had a really great time with it. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. So with that being said, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Check it out. It's a fun ride. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 bonehead hair pieces.
I didn't even talk about Jack O'Connell, but like you mentioned, a great villain. This one, he's so awful in this, just a real bad guy. And, it could have just been a kind of a cookie cutter villain here, but, he has his motivations for thinking how he does. He believes in his cause, and you kind of see how that plays out when he comes into contact and meets Dr. Kelson. And that all leads to the epic finale, like we were talking about when they do cross paths, and a really awesome ending to this movie, especially everything leading up to that, but totally different than the first film. Equally as good, did something totally different here. They could have just basically continued on the first movie, but they made a completely different film here. Credit to Alex Garland, like you mentioned here, another great script. And, at the end of the film teases the next installment, which I pray and hope and I believe that we're going to get. I mean, I think it was already locked before. Unfortunately, being a January movie, not a lot of people made it to the box office, I guess, last week, which sucks. I hope it gets more love. But yeah, when people see this, if they're going to wait till stream or whatever, it's going to be, people are going to, be surprised by this. This isn't just another, zombie movie. This is something totally different. And, we both highly recommend this. This is definitely a worthy entry into this, almost now, 5 movies, or what is it? 5 movies now going into, yeah, just another epic trilogy here. And I can't wait to see how it all ends up and who's going to direct it. Do we give it back to Nia DaCosta? Is Danny Boyle going to wrap everything up? Probably Danny Boyle is what I'd guess. But Nia DaCosta did a great job with this film. Very surprised and highly satisfied. So with that being said, I am going to give it 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I too am going to give it a 4 out of 5 spike hair pieces.
So I want to hear from all you wild Jack O'Connell impersonators out there. What did you like about 28 years later, The Bone Temple? What didn't you like about it? Did you like the first movie in this trilogy better? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to stab, whoosh, subscribe. Also, check out these Wild Uncles on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
Thank you guys for watching our review of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. It's time to wind down and throw on a record. Maybe listen to Girls on Film. So until the next Cinephellas movie review, I'm Uncle Henry Kelson.
And I'm Uncle Simon LeBone, signing out to the next movie review. Girls on Film!